Hello again. Welcome back to your 5-minute devotional stop with me, Amy Phillips. I'm on a journey moving from fear to faith, and I hope you'll join me for Just Believe. Well, hey friends. So I was reading a book and came across this quote from Joyce Meyer. She says, "Storms can become a springboard for promotion." Meaning we can flip the script on the storms of life. They don't have to just bring destruction, but they can actually be something that brings new life instead of only pain. The author of the book was talking about how eagles are the only birds that don't fly away from storms, but will fly into them to use the drafts to soar higher. They use storms for their own advantage to fly above it. I do love that picture and the message it conveys. Storms don't have to be a bad thing and something we need to run from. Instead, there's a lifting that happens if we change our perspective on the storms of life. What about another story about storms from nature? Rory Vade writes, "A cow's response to the approaching storm is very natural, but albeit foolish. When cows see a storm, they turn away from the storm and head in the opposite direction, making all efforts to outrun the storm. Cows cannot outrun storms. So instead of decreasing the amount of pain and suffering, which is the goal, cows instead increase the amount of difficulties and challenges they face by running at the same pace as the storm. A buffalo's response is quite different. Instead of running away from the storm, buffaloes run into the storm. Just like the cow, a buffalo will be battered by the initial wave of rain and wind. Just like the cow, the buffalo will be wet and tired. But unlike the cow, the buffalo decreases the amount of pain and suffering by moving through the storm instead of moving with the storm." So what have we learned from these stories? Be an eagle or a buffalo. Just don't be a cow. Okay, I really do love these motivational pictures that God has given us in the world He created. I love these reminders. Maybe you've heard the phrase, "Your setback is a set up for a comeback." So much, friends, do I want to be able to say that like a Pentecostal preacher. Your setback is a set up for a comeback. Okay, that wasn't great. But what seems like a setback, what seems like a pit you fell in, what seems like the world is against you, what seems like a broken dream, is really a springboard to what's next. There's so much truth in these sayings, but I do want to make a distinction here. These are only really true in light of a good Father who loves us and is for us. In the Lord, these things are certainly true because God has promised us that what the enemy meant for harm, He is turning for our good. Let the storm take you higher in Him. Yes, our setbacks are actually setups for promotion because God makes everything beautiful in its time. Not just as a self-help thought that would be really nice, if this storm, this really hard thing in my life was actually a setup for something good. But instead, I know it is because God makes all things new. You can't do self-help without the author of life. There is no hope of a setup for a comeback if we don't believe in someone outside of ourselves being for us and helping us. Jesus was in the grave and the disciples thought it was over. It wasn't over. It was just the beginning. That death looked like the end, but it was just a setup for the greatest comeback of all time. I'm convinced God loves a good comeback. Jesus is the author and the finisher, the beginning and the end, the all in all, and He leads us always forward in triumphant victory. What a God we serve and we love. No wonder people have loved Him for centuries, not because they've seen Him, but because they've known Him in their hearts and they've found Him to be faithful, always taking us from glory to glory. So if we believe in Him, there is a reality that He does make all things new and all things beautiful, and He not just will, but wants to meet us in the middle of the storm. It's not that we just want to plow into the storm like a buffalo to make things easier for ourselves. It's that we want to go through it with our Maker. We want to meet with Him in the midst of our suffering. We don't necessarily want to outrun the pain, but meet with Jesus in our pain because he is the comforter, the one who touches our pain and weeps with us in it and brings healing we could never have found elsewhere. So yes, don't be a cow. Don't make things harder on yourself, but be an eagle soaring on the heights above any storm. But most importantly, trust God, walk with God, trust him. He loves you. He knows you. You will never have a storm you cannot weather. But whatever the storm or hardship is that you're facing, go into it with him. Walk with God in it. Let him be your guide and your help in suffering. Let him push you up out of it so you can see what he sees. Let your setbacks become your setups for a comeback. So do not fear, friends. Even if the storm is upon you, he is with you. Just believe. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you feel encouraged and strengthened. If you want to connect with me, you can find me at amybphillips.com. See you next time.